You have been told belly fat is just about diet and exercise, that if you burn more and eat less, the problem is solved. But in Japan, doctors see the real danger, an invisible invasion inside your liver that stealthily turns sugar into toxic fat and corrodes your organs from within. Most never realize it is happening, and by the time they do, it is too late. This documentary will show you why everything you thought about reversing fatty liver is wrong, and what the Japanese method reveals that almost no one in the West is talking about. The real threat is not what you see. It is what is eating away at you, hidden just below the surface. Inside the body, a quiet saboteur goes to work long before any warning shows up in the mirror. This enemy isn't the soft padding under the skin, but a dense, living mass wrapped around the organs themselves, known as visceral fat. Unlike the harmless fat you can pinch, this internal layer behaves more like a parasite than a passive storage depot. It seeps between the liver, pancreas, and intestines, feeding off every sugary snack and late-night meal. But it doesn't just sit there. Visceral fat is biologically active, releasing waves of inflammatory signals that travel through the bloodstream. These chemical messengers quietly attack healthy cells, disrupt insulin signals, and set off a slow-burning fire inside the liver. Most people never suspect a thing. The scale might not budge, and the waistline might look the same. But inside, this hidden tissue behaves like an invisible saboteur, corroding the body's most vital systems from within. Japanese doctors have long recognized visceral fat as an active threat, a living organ with its own agenda, capable of turning the liver against itself. On a standard medical scan, this fat doesn't show up as a warning sign. It doesn't hurt, and it doesn't cause swelling or fever. Yet its chemical signals can trigger a chain reaction, inflammation, scarring, and eventually irreversible liver damage. The real danger isn't cosmetic. It is the silent, relentless attack happening deep inside, where visceral fat acts less like padding and more like a toxic invader, quietly undermining the body's defenses day after day. Inside the liver, every molecule of sugar sets off a chain reaction. When a meal is high in fructose, whether from sweet drinks, pastries, or even so-called healthy snacks, the liver works overtime to process it. Unlike glucose, which muscles and other tissues can use, fructose lands almost entirely on the liver's doorstep. The organ tries to convert this sudden flood into usable energy, but when supply outpaces demand, the excess gets transformed directly into new fat. This process, de novo lipogenesis, acts like pouring sludge into a water filter. Over time, the filter clogs. Fat droplets accumulate inside liver cells, crowding out their normal function. But the problem does not stop with fat storage. As these droplets build up, they disrupt the cell's delicate machinery, sparking the release of unstable molecules known as reactive oxygen species. These are the biological equivalent of rust, corroding cell walls and damaging DNA. The liver, designed to neutralize toxins, now faces an internal threat, its own cells turning hostile under stress. This oxidative damage signals the immune system to send in reinforcements. White blood cells flood the area, but their presence brings inflammation, not relief. Over time, scar tissue forms, a process called fibrosis, which hardens the liver and blocks blood flow. This entire cascade unfolds quietly. There is no pain, no outward sign, and the number on the scale may never change. Yet inside, the liver's filter grows heavier and less efficient with every sugary indulgence. Japanese researchers have shown that this process is not simply about calories in or out. It is about chemistry, how certain foods and habits trigger this biological sabotage, and why targeted changes, not just dieting, are needed to clear the damage. A simple tape measure can reveal more than any bathroom scale. Place it around your waist, just above the hip bones. For men, a number above 90 centimeters, about 35 inches, signals a real risk. For women, the threshold is 80 centimeters, or roughly 31 inches. This is not about how much you weigh or how your clothes fit. It is about what is happening deep inside, where invisible fat can quietly build up around the liver. Japanese health experts use this measurement as a first warning sign, because the liver rarely sends clear signals until the damage is well underway. If your number is higher than these cutoffs, the good news is that the process can be reversed. Even a modest drop in waist size, just a few centimeters, can lighten the burden on the liver. Japanese studies show that it is not about drastic diets or marathon workouts. Instead, the fastest turnarounds come from targeting the body's internal chemistry. There is a clear, three-step roadmap for recovery. Each step targets a different lever. One for blocking the enzymes that store fat in the liver, one for shielding cells from internal rust, and one for activating the body's natural fat-burning switch. These are not generic tips. They are precise, science-backed moves drawn from decades of Japanese research. With the right approach, the liver can start clearing out fat in weeks, not months. The next step is to put this plan into action, one lever at a time. Epigallocatechin gallati, known as EGCG, is the first control point. This compound shows up in every cup of Japanese green tea. It is not just an antioxidant. It acts like a brake on the enzymes that tell the liver to stash away new fat. When EGCG reaches the bloodstream, it interferes with the cellular machinery that converts excess sugars into stored fat, slowing that process right at the source. Japanese clinical research points to a daily dose between 300 and 500 milligrams for real results. That is about 4 to 6 cups of well-brewed green tea, steeped for 3 to 5 minutes at a temperature just below boiling. For people who prefer supplements, the same dose applies. Absorption is best when the capsule or extract is taken with a meal, especially one that includes a little healthy fat. That meal helps the body unlock more of the compound's power. EGCG is safe for most people, but there is a ceiling. More than 800 milligrams a day can stress the liver, especially in people with pre-existing conditions. Anyone considering higher doses should check liver enzymes such as ALT on a regular basis. With these details in place, the first step becomes simple and precise, a measured daily ritual that begins to turn down the liver's internal fat switch. Fermented foods have a special place in the Japanese approach to liver health. Every morning, a bowl of miso soup or a serving of natto delivers more than just tradition. It acts as a shield against the oxidative stress that corrodes liver cells from within. The power lies in the transformation that happens during fermentation. When soybeans are fermented, their isoflavones become more bioavailable, turning into potent antioxidants that the body can actually use. Just 50 grams of natto, 1 pack, or 10 to 20 grams of miso daily is enough to match the levels seen in Japanese dietary studies. These servings are not random. They come from the habits of populations in Osaka, where higher intake of fermented soy was linked with slower progression of liver scarring, even when weight did not change. Alongside fermented soy, carotenoid-rich foods like bright orange persimmons, sweet potatoes, and tomatoes add another layer of defense. Their pigments act as internal rust-proofing, fighting the free radicals that spark inflammation. 2 to 3 servings a day, paired with a little healthy fat, help the body absorb these pigments more effectively. This is not about chasing superfoods. It is about sending a clear daily signal to the liver: repair and protect. In Japan, these foods are woven into routine, not seen as medicine, but as a quiet, intentional code for resilience. Movement is not just an afterthought. It is the final lever that unlocks the body's natural fat clearing system. Japanese clinicians recommend a simple rule. Aim for activity that keeps your heart rate at about 75% of its maximum. At this level, you should be able to speak in full sentences, but not sing a song. This is not about pushing to exhaustion or chasing a sweat-soaked high. High-intensity intervals might sound appealing, but they can spike cortisol, a stress hormone that actually encourages the body to store more fat around the organs. Instead, the goal is steady, moderate movement, like brisk walking, cycling, or even climbing stairs, for at least 30 minutes a day. This intensity flips the metabolic switch from storage to mobilization, helping the liver tap into its reserves and clear out excess fat. When combined with targeted nutrition and antioxidant-rich foods, this approach forms a closed loop. It blocks new fat, it shields cells from damage, and it activates the body's own cleanup crew. The protocol is not complicated. It is a daily rhythm, measured, intentional, and fully within reach. Right now, over a quarter of adults worldwide face silent liver threats, most without symptoms. The science is clear. Small daily choices can shift the odds. The liver's capacity for renewal is real, but time is not on our side. The next meal is the next message your body receives.